Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another Chart Nerd TA video. So today we're diving into Chainlink on the daily time frame. And before I start, guys, I first off wanted to say I do apologize for not getting any content out over the past week or so. Me and my family had to go down to Devon for my granddad's funeral. So yeah, we just had some time to mourn together and celebrate my granddad's life. So I do apologize not getting any content out for you guys, but I do aim to get back on track this week. And today, starting first off with Chainlink, we've had a bullish few days here where Chainlink hit this low here of around $5.50, and you can see for the past week we've started to sort of retrace to where we're coming back down from. There's a few key things that I wanted to look at here for Chainlink on the daily. A few of them are resistance points moving forward, because as you can see, we have had consecutive green candles here, not a day's pullback since this low, and I do think we are retracing to this high, but we have resistance above. Okay, so this is the FTX, the pre-FTX crash. So yeah, this was literally just before the crash. Chainlink was looking relatively healthy, the market was, and then boof, capitulation, and the news just set the market off. So from this low, what Chainlink's trying to do right now, I think what occurred here is you had some sort of level of resistance, okay, for Link, and you also had this level of support. So what this is called here is a falling wedge pattern on the daily time frame, where you come down to this low, you ran into resistance, and you was coiling up in this falling wedge pattern. Right now, statistically, once you break out of this resistance, of which Chainlink did, what happens is you tend to retrace to where you came from, so to where the falling wedge started. So what Chainlink's looking to do right now, I think, is come up to this high, and these prices here, roughly of around $7.30 or 40, of which I would expect resistance, because you have formed this pattern, you've broken out, and now you've retraced to where that pattern started, or are nearly at the point of retracement. So today Chainlink's looking relatively healthy. I do think we are up around 5 to 6% today, which is nice to see. But we have this was the confirmational break. Okay, you broke out of resistance here, and right now what's happening is you're retracing to this high where you started to form this pattern. So how we can look at where resistance may be? Well, we get a Fibonacci on from the low down here at $5.50. We're retracing back up to this FTX, the pre-FTX high, where before the news came out, this is where we're retracing to. And you could see right now, okay, as I mentioned, where this falling wedge started is actually the 050 at $7.20. So you can see you came to this low, you ran into the 050, okay, and then this is where you form the pattern. So now we've broken out, we've retraced, and this is where I'm expecting some sort of short-term resistance for Link moving forward on the daily time frame, because we've retraced back up to this falling wedge target. So potentially this is what we need to watch out for. Okay, we have to see $7.21 broken, and also a close above the 0618 on the daily, looking to if we're to look to retrace to this $9 high. Okay, so we're literally coming from this low now, retracing to this high, and these are our key resistance points above that Link needs to break out of. It has to break out of those to confirm that this is a potential bottom, and we are going to retrace to this high. So for that to happen, what I'm expecting here, if Chainlink does run into either one of these as resistance, we could look at where a pullback of support might be. So let's keep this price tag in check right now. Okay, so the 050 sits at $7.23. We'll get this fib off right now. We'll get these patterns off too. Just clear this up 1 second. So what we can look at, okay, is if Chainlink does come up to that price at $7.23 and starts to retrace back down to this fib, okay, and we do see resistance at that 050 mark, what we would be looking for, in my eyes, would be a $6.13 Link, because what will happen is you will come down, you have this low, you could come up, meet resistance, come back to a higher level of support, and then start to break out. Okay, because potentially, unless you get a massive V-shaped recovery, what tends to happen is you meet resistance, come back for support, and then go for a breakout a second time. Now what that would be starting here for Link would be some sort of larger ascending triangle, okay, where you've come up like this, you come down to a higher level of support, you look to break out of this horizontal resistance, which would be the 050 at $7.22. If you start to see the close and break above that, if this potential retracement here comes in that I'm looking for at resistance, then this is where you could coil up and look for a larger breakout, and we could potentially see Link, if we go from that point there to the bottom of the ascending triangle, this is where you could see the confirmation for Link to retrace back up to pre-FTX crash highs back at $9. Okay, so what I'm looking for, as I've said, is that $7.23 mark. Yeah, that $7.23 mark is resistance. Come back and pull back to support, retrace here, okay, if we do meet resistance. This is only if we meet resistance. If we melt through this high and take out this high, then your next target is back up here. okay? But this it works in waves. You come down impulsively, you've retraced, okay? But you meet resistance, come back for a higher level of support, and then start to go again. And as I said, you start to form some sort of bottoming structure, an ascending triangle where you've got higher lows. And once you do start to tackle out that $7.20, this is your retracement point, okay? Back to pre-FTX crash highs up here at $9. Again, what we can look for here for some kind of help or support along the way is these EMAs. Right now, you can see that you are above the 55 and the 20 on the daily, and you are starting to drag these EMAs up. If you do start to see Link move quite impulsively here, and you do get a bullish cross, okay, potentially we could actually retrace up to this high, okay, without a large pullback, and then come in for a larger retracement. But again, honestly, guys, I think that coming up to this, as I said, breaking out of this falling wedge and potentially retracing to this high, I do think we are going to look at coming to resistance and then coming back for a higher low first before we get our breakout here of this $7 mark, okay? So that's the key things to take away from this quick update for you today. Moving forward, we do have key resistance to break out of if we are to get confirmation back up to this FTX high, pre-FTX high. We do get this in your charts, guys. We do have to break out of $7, and equally, if we come up here and hold support, we have to break out of $7.70. Okay, so this is the gold. This is the golden ratio range that I would like to see Chainlink breaking above and holding as support for confirmation that we are going to continue here and not retrace. Potentially, you're just coming up and making a V-shaped recovery back up to this high. Okay, but in my eyes, I do think potentially we are going to come up to this point, potentially at this stage, come back for an ABC, find a higher level of support, and coil up in some sort of ascending triangle where you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a high, you've got a low, a high, a higher low, and then you break out. And once you get this confirmational break above $7.20 or $7.30, for me, 0618, break that, okay, then I think you're off to the races and retracing back to this $9.40. So that's my overall outlook moving forward. We are looking to reach resistance of this falling wedge breakout. Okay, when you meet those targets, do take some profits, look for a pullback potentially, higher level of support, and once you do start to come up and tackle that $7.20, I think Link is looking to retrace to that $9 range. Worst case scenario for Link, okay, if we do meet resistance at this $7.20 mark, okay, that I was looking at, and we do start to fall through the fibs here, this is the bearish scenario. If we meet resistance, guys, it's all a big if. If we do meet resistance at this point where I'm looking for, and we do start to come back and lose these golden ratio fibs here at $6.30 and $6.10 and hit them as resistance, potentially you're looking to retrace to this one fib and this low. Now, if Link does do that and loses that, you've got these targets down here in the near future that I would also be looking for Link to reach. And what potentially we're looking at, if this is a negative pattern and we are going to get continuation to the downside, this is potentially a A. Okay, this is your B wave high into the 050, which we're coming up to now at $7.20. And if that is, then it's called a dead cat bounce. And if you start to lose this one fib, you've got lower targets where you could be putting in some large A, B, C. And this is where the lows potentially could be in for Link. Now, does that tie up with anything on the weekly time frame or the monthly time frame? Yes, it does. In fact, you can see that the 1618 at $4.60 actually ties up with this cluster of support here that was previous resistance for Link back in July and March. Okay, so Link potentially, if it does come down to that $4 range and that 1618 target that I have circled for this large ABC at $4.60, what you can see here, this is the bearish scenario, guys. That 1618 target ties up with this previous resistance you've broken out of, and Link hasn't back tested as support. So if we do see this low lost here for Link at current $5.30, which is the low in June, if you start to see that lost, do look for $4.60, and that's the bearish scenario, because you'll be retracing back to this high that Link hasn't actually back tested for support yet to look for continuation. So if we don't get the bullish scenario and we don't retrace up to this $9 mark, okay, and we fail to hold support, you can see here on the monthly as well. Sorry, I have dragged this on a little bit now, but you can see here on the monthly, in regards to candle closes, you've got this level of support, and you also have this slight level of resistance, okay, for Link. Now, some would call this a rising wedge in some sort, okay, or some would call it an ascending triangle. However you want to look at it, bearish or bullish, I think at the moment it's a very tricky time to tell. But if you do see this level of support lost with a candle closed, do expect a retracement to this low. Okay, because once you start closing out of this pattern, it is very negative and you are looking to roll over back to where you came from. So do keep your eyes on this pattern here as well on the monthly time frame, okay? You've either got this ascending support, which is a bear flag, potentially, or however you want to look at it. Again, you could have this ascending triangle where you're putting in higher lows. Right now, I think it's very, very tricky to tell. But again, if you do start to close below this support band of closes on the monthly, do look for the retracement. Equally, if you start to tackle out and close, get a candle close and hold above this level of resistance, then you look to go long, don't you? So yeah, guys, that's a quick update for you today on Chainlink. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please do like, comment, and subscribe. From Chart Nerd TA, take care. Peace out.